everyone, my name is Webweaver, and welcome back to Sliding Closer to the Microphone as I sit down. So, here's the thing, I'm gonna summarize Patch Day very simply, okay? Final Fantasy XIV, win patch, smiley face. Final Fantasy XIV, win no patch, brownie face. I don't know what it is, but like, it's such a interesting experience to have a game that is a live service MMO that is like the least live service game I've ever played in my life, right? Like, it's very difficult to sort of like, to explain it because it doesn't make any sense at all. Thank God. I thank God it's not Eldritch Parasite. I was gonna re-roll the run if it was Eldritch Parasite. Not gonna lie. But basically it's like, okay, can I even attempt to find the words to explain why Final Fantasy XIV is a weird game? Well, alright. So, as you all know, we live in live service apocalypse hell, where every video game is a live service, regardless of what it is. And the goal is to maximize player retention. You want people on your game every single day, and you want people playing your game every single day, right? And so you have, like, dailies, weeklies, seasonal objectives, battle passes, alternate currencies, main currencies, and so many currencies. Games have too many currencies nowadays, and then there's also, like, you know, some sort of, like, pity system, loot box system, some sort of, like, you know, whatchamacallit, right? And Final Fantasy XIV has a lot of these. It even has, no money loot boxes, like, you get them with, like, in-game alternate currencies that you can't buy with real money, right? And then they give you, like, a random reward. They got a lot of lock boxes, you know? I think we can do Hell first. Yeah, I think we can do Hell first. I think that's fine. We do need to get a weapon, though. I almost clicked Wish for 2 stamina. That would have been so weird. Fearful sucks, but what are you gonna do about it? I'll take the first good weapon or usable weapon that I see, and we're off to the races. Thank you so much. Never mind. We're going to the police station. It's look who it is. It's look who. Who do you think it is? It's look who it is. But, essentially, that's fine. Literally probably will never have any negative outcome imaginable. 70 XP? -1 fund? I think we take those. I think we could take a jar of blood if we have to, or I could sell the handcuffs, but I think we'll keep the handcuffs. So it's like, Final Fantasy XIV has a lot of this stuff that is very, very, like, would be predatory game monetization. You know what I mean, right? Like, there's a lot of things that Final Fantasy XIV does that a lot of games use specifically to manipulate you into playing for long periods of time and for playing, like, every day, right? But Final Fantasy XIV is not fundamentally designed this way. Final Fantasy XIV is fundamentally designed for it to be an off game, a game that you do not need to have as your main game, and I think that's something that I find so jarring every single time, is that when you start playing Final Fantasy XIV for the first time, it can be your everyday game. It can be your main game, but the longer you play Final Fantasy XIV, the more you will realize that you really, like, there is no... Like, here's the thing, there are, like, things that we would consider as, like, predatory systems that keep people playing the game as often as possible, but those systems don't really, like, do anything. So I'll give you probably the most, like, fundamental example that will be applicable to, like, 100% of people, 95% of people, 99% of people who play Final Fantasy XIV, okay? I'll give you a very good scenario. I'll give you a very applicable scenario, okay? So, there are dailies, which give you tomestones. Now, and they also give you EXP. So, when you start doing your dailies, when you start unlocking your dailies, which a lot of them unlock... I mean, I actually don't know when 50, 60, 70, 80 dungeons unlock, so... I could be wrong, but basically, you have all these roulettes. They're dailies, they give you currencies, they give you bonus EXP, all that, right? So you would think to yourself, okay, I need to log on, and I need to get these currencies, and I need to do my dailies for EXP, right? The thing is, not really, right? Like, it's the thing that always, like, it's so wacky, right? So what do you use the main currency that you get from dailies? Poetic tomestones. What do you use poetic tomestones for? Well, at the end of every expansion, there is old savage gear that you can buy with this poetic tome gear, and it is the highest item level from that expansion, and it is good enough that you will wear it for half of the next expansion, right? So, as an example, the gear that I, that I earned, quote-unquote, back in the day in Endwalker, which was item level 660, I used that until about halfway through Dawn Trail, which is the current expansion. And now, when you clear Endwalker, you can just buy those pieces of gear that I had to earn and grind for back in the day. You just buy that with Poetics. Now, we'll talk about earning and grinding stuff in a second, but I kind of hate all this, by the way. I kind of hate all this. It's crazy. I think we go Wordless Ward. I don't know if the hospital's doomed or not, but I think this is still the correct play. If it's doomed, it's kind of bad for Jury, but, like, we'll see, we'll see. We'll see, chat, we'll see. Okay, we're fine. We're good, we're good, we're good. Well, we're not good. We just have to not die to events, but... So it's like, how do I put this? Oh, no, 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 no. When you get, and this is only at the end of an expansion, by the way. So once you beat A Realm Reborn, you're gonna do your dailies occasionally, like maybe once every other day, so that you can get the Augmented Ironworks gear, and then you're gonna use that Augmented Ironworks gear on your main job, and that's gonna get you to eye level 130, and then you're gonna gradually replace that Augmented Ironworks gear as you go through Heavensward. And then when you go through Heavensward, and you beat Heavensward, you're gonna get the Augmented Shire's gear. Or is it Scavian? I think Scavian is Stormblood, right? I'm pretty sure Shire is Heavensward. And so you get your I think it's 270? That sounds about right. I don't remember the Stormblood eye level, but 270 sounds correct. For the Heavensward one. And then once you beat Heavensward, you will do your dailies occasionally to get that gear on your main job. And then you will go into Stormblood, and then you'll wear that for half of Stormblood, gradually replacing it, because the main scenario quest, the MSQ, the most important thing in Final Fantasy XIV, the only thing that you have to do, it gives you gear. It gives you gear that you need in order to continue doing it. But, you know, the augmented gear will be better than it, and you'll wear that augmented gear for most of the expansion that you're playing next, right? So then you're going to get your augmented Scavian gear, and then you're going to get your augmented Crypt Lurker once you beat Shadowbringers, and then you're going to wear the augmented Crypt Lurker for half of Shadowbringers, and then you're going to go on and... Like, it's a very... Like, it might sound complicated, because I am saying, like, a lot of different names, but the only thing that you have to know is that there's an NPC vendor in the main city of the expansion that you just cleared, and that vendor has gear that you buy with Poetics, and Poetics is like a universal currency that you use for every expansion that is not the current one. And so you might be thinking, okay, so that's where it gets like... So you need this currency to buy the gear, but you just get it by doing your daily roulettes, and you don't even have to do them a lot. Now, you might notice that I've completely neglected to mention experience points, okay? Completely neglected to mention experience points. The reason for that is that experience basically doesn't matter in this game, except when you're leveling alt jobs, because when you are doing the MSQ, the main scenario quest, the main story, when you're doing this, all you're doing is the MSQ, and it is power leveling the job that you're playing. And I've done this anecdote like several times, but back when the new expansion was Shadowbringers, the newest expansion, I should say, because I started playing, what was it? 5.2? 5.3? Maybe it was 5. Maybe it was near the beginning of Shadowbringers. Maybe it was. I don't actually remember. But when I started playing, the newest expansion was Shadowbringers, and the level cap was 80, right? Seems crazy now. Level cap's 100. Seems so far away. But, whoops. Don't worry about that. That's fine. Don't worry about that. It's okay. Whoops. Don't worry about that. It's fine. It's okay. Plenty of level ups to get before the horror catches us, for sure, for sure. I just didn't want to take stamina or sanity damage, because we're about to eat shit here. And I mean, we don't have a camera, so unfortunately, we're just gonna go up 10 and then down 10 on the horror meter. That's fine. I'm gonna pick a short mystery now. But basically, the level cap was 80, and I was going through Stormblood, and Stormblood starts at level 60, right? And it goes to level 70. Every expansion goes 10 levels, except in the future, maybe. They don't know what they're doing. I don't think we're gonna go... Are we gonna go past level 100? I have no idea. But basically, they are doing this thing where, at least for the purposes of this video, every expansion raises the level cap by 10, okay? And so, you start at level 60 in Stormblood, and then you go up to level 70. I was at level 62 or 63 in the main scenario quest, which is, basically how high level content that you can do, because most unlockables and most gameplay unlockables are tied to the MSQ, right? So if you want to do the multiplayer raid with your friends, you have to beat the expansion, which sucks, by the way. I really hate that they do that, and they shouldn't do that. But regardless, they should just make a better system, honestly, because it's so dumb that you have to, like, you play an entire JRPG solo, and then finally, when you beat the JRPG, you can do the multiplayer with your friends. It's so dumb. It would be like if you buy a multiplayer game, right? Like, imagine you buy, like, I don't know, it's relevant to me, like Space Marine 2, right? And before you can play the multiplayer, you have to beat the single-player campaign. And it's like, that at least wouldn't be so bad, because it's like a 7-hour single-player campaign, but still, it kind of... Imagine if you bought Call of Duty, Modern Warfare, whatever the hell, or Call of Duty Black Ops, whatever number we're at right now. You buy a Call of Duty... You buy a Call of Duty game, and you can't play the multiplayer until you beat the campaign, right? It's something dumb like that. That's the best example that I can use. So, basically, going a little back on topic, right? So, the only thing that really matters is your ability to do the MSQ. Everything that you're going to be doing is at, like, max level of that expansion, because that's when everybody gets their full job kits and whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm going a little all over the place now, and I apologize. I've probably lost several people. But basically, what I'm trying to say is that it really, your EXP does not matter, because in Stormblood, level 63 of the story, I was max level. I was level 80. You get so much... First of all, you get so much experience from the main scenario quest that you basically never have to level. But if you do your dailies, you will hit level cap way before you get to the expansion that has the current level cap, right? Like, I know people who were in my free company who started playing the game, and then they hit level 90, the cap of Endwalker, before getting into Stormblood, right? Like, they would just do their dailies every day, and then they would do, like, a little bit of the MSQ, and then they would be level 100 in Heavensward, you know? Or, like, level 90 in Heavensward. It would be level 100 these days, though, if you were a Sprout and you started now and you did your dailies, like, every other day, you would be at level 100 so goddamn fast, right? Because this shit gives you, like, depending on which roulette it is, it can give you half a level, or it can give you a level and a half. Like, this, it is very easy to level up in Final Fantasy XIV. Now, brute forcing a level up, like brute forcing a farm and grinding, that gets a little difficult. We have 6 perception versus 3 dexterity. I mean, you know, you gotta take your shots when you can. Just don't miss. So it's like you have it's very difficult to just kind of, like, try to explain it, because when you look at an MMO, there's so much terminology, it's so overwhelming, there's so many things that you have to focus on, and it gets very overwhelming very quickly. But the longer you play, the longer you realize that the game is dumb. The game is dumb. That's, I really don't know how... We've seen deft handling, like, every single time, bro. Bro... I can't take any of this shit. What do you want from me? We're taking fast hands and Irizumi and second sight. Look at my perks, bro. They're washed. Wow, our brace is faster than our dodge. I thought that wasn't supposed to happen anymore. I mean, let's just kill him in 2 turns, I guess. I hope, anyways. Yeah, we killed him in 2 turns. So, really, if you're a new player in Final Fantasy XIV, the only road bump that you have... Sure, let's do this. I don't remember what this does, so we'll just click this button and it'll be funny. The only road bump that you have is the Trials and the Crystal Tower Alliance raid. And somebody actually left a comment about this that I need to respond to. Where they were talking about how they were a new player in Final Fantasy XIV, and they quit when somebody bullied them in the Crystal Tower Alliance raid, which I cannot imagine bullying. Like, apparently it was 3 years ago. Bro was bullying a Sprout in the Crystal Tower 3 years ago? Like, Jesus. So, as a Sprout, the only thing you gotta worry about is the Alliance raid and the Trials. Because those are the only mandatory multiplayer content now. Everything else, like, every dungeon in the game, except for optional dungeons, every story dungeon in the game, or dungeon that is MSQ dungeon, any MSQ dungeon, you can do with AI. And actually, some trials you can do with AI too, but those are more in Endwalker and Dawn Trail. Because a lot of the... if they make it to where you can do a trial with AI, they are going to have to rework it. So because they had to rework a lot of the dungeons to make them AI compatible. So I hope they don't touch any more of the trials, or they would eventually go through the process of just making solo versions of the trials, because I mean, a lot of the trials are peak. You know, I love the Dancing Plague and whatever Susano's one is. That's really good. But, and then also the Royal Menagerie is a banger, too. There's a lot of great trials. And, like, all of the Dawn Trail trials are really good. At least, like, gameplay-wise. Oh my god, okay, no, I can't get distracted. I was about to get really distracted. But, you know what? Sure, why not? Let's not get any stat to 8. It'll be funny. It'll be funny, chat. It'll be humorous, even. But yeah, as a new player in Final Fantasy XIV, you do have to do a little bit of multiplayer content, because Trials, they are bad at programming AI to take the place of a player. And then the Crystal Tower Alliance raid, which used to not be mandatory, but it is critical information for Shadowbringers, and so it used to be optional, but they made it mandatory because it is critical lore for Shadowbringers. And this is something that is actually really annoying, in my opinion, as somebody who's a more degenerate Final Fantasy XIV player. I am really sad that none of the optional raids and trials are relevant in the story, and they can't be relevant in the story because then they would have to be made mandatory, and then people would complain that there's more mandatory multiplayer content, because people really hate the Alliance raids and the trials. You have no idea the kinds of people that I have listened to talk about this game in this game, and they've played it for like 9,000 hours, and it's like, bro. Anyways, Noisy Nails or Metamorphosis? Which one are we more likely to lose on? Probably the all damage boss, right? So we'll take the stamina damage boss as like a little treat. Just as like a little treat, you know? I mean, I have 6 perception, so what do you want me to do? Your hard work does indeed pay off. So yeah, and here's the thing, they have, like, I'm trying to think of more, like, predatory things that games do that Final Fantasy XIV does, but poorly, so it doesn't matter. And really the only thing I can think of is, like, but this isn't that bad either. So when you get to max level, this is only relevant if you were at max level, okay? You start earning a currency, so currently level 100. If you are lower than level 100, it's completely irrelevant to you. At level 100, when you play as a level 100 job... Yeah, sure, we'll lose 1 stamina, that's fine. When you play as a level 100 job in your dailies, basically... So instead of earning EXP, because you're max level, you can't earn any EXP anymore. You're max level. Oh my god, a brick. Oh shit, we're getting 2 empty bottle. If you could sell things mid-combat, you could literally just make stocks. Okay, we only have 1 branch. So this shouldn't lower our inventory size. I guess it just lowers your inventory size anyway. I guess just throwing things out of your... Yeah, who cares? We have a lot of, you got a lot of empty bottles, chat. Wait, what? Oh, no, we're good. Yeah. Alright, we just have to go gambling, that's fine. It didn't actually lower our... Okay, we're good. Well, we're not throwing items anymore. Not yet, at least. So when you play at level 100... instead of earning EXP, you earn a special kind of tombstone, which is different than poetic tombstones. And they are weekly capped. You can only get 450 a week. And this is one of the dumbest things that the game does, for a lot of reasons, but it is not predatory. Because you get... I think it's like... there is a special roulette that you unlock by doing the current expansion's optional dungeons. So, in Dawn Trail's case, you have to do the Tender Valley and the Dead Walk? I don't remember what the Dead Walk is called. It's the spooky ghost zombie dungeon. Well, no, that's not the zombie dungeon, because the zombie dungeon has to be MSQ for the running Hildebrand gag. I don't know, sure. We'll just do that, but... Me when I'm killing the kabuki? True. Yeah, sure, why not? This is pretty sus. You ever think about that? You ever think about how sus this is? We didn't have to throw anything. Yippee. Looting, huh? Ammo stash, huh? This game wants Jury to have a gun. Change my mind. Change my mind. I don't know. I don't really care about any of this. I don't really care about any of these perks. If we could game the system to where signed contract would go off immediately, I would take signed contract, because then we would, you know... Are we gonna level up again? That's so funny. We need to level up and then just, like, spam rest to full health. I mean, we could technically die here, but I hope we don't. I'm gonna sell that, and then... Oh, it doesn't permanently lower your inventory size when, you sell items. Okay, sure. I mean, we can just, like, get some money here. I'm actually, like, fine doing that. We've still got stuff to throw. Although the empty bottles are gonna be way better for throwing, honestly. So we can just leave ourselves at 2 funds for now. So this weekly capped currency, this weekly capped currency, right? What does it do? It lets you buy special gear that is currently... So, when a Savage tier comes out, the Savage tier has a gear set, and then, alongside it, releases a tome gear set as well. And that is what you use these tomes for, right? So currently it's like, I don't actually know what it's currently called. I haven't tome farmed in like 3 months, dude. I don't care. But, and that's one of the things, right? is that I haven't tome farmed in 3 months. But basically, you tome farm, and then what happens... No. You tome farm, and then what you have to do is... your best in slot, which is like the best gear that you can wear, right? It's the most powerful gear you can wear at the time. Your best in slot gear, that is a mix of savage gear and your tome gear, right? And so it is an artificial... Here's the thing. This mechanic on the surface seems like it is designed to make you feel like you are missing out, to make you feel like you are basically like you have to play the game, because if you don't, you're gonna get FOMO and you're gonna like not be able to get the same gear as everyone else. But believe me when I tell you, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And also, this is way more important. This 450 tome weekly cap is very easy to hit casually, because all you have to do when you do the optional... I completely lost track of what I was saying earlier, but when you do the optional dungeons, the Tender Valley, the Dead Walk, and the end game level 100 MSQ dungeon, what happens is you get bonus tomes, right? So you not only do those dungeons give you tomes just by doing them, but then you get a bonus tome bounty. So it's the most effective way to get tomes, is just run the expert roulette over and over. And don't let the name expert fool you. It's easy. They're just the regular dungeons. They're just the normal dungeons. They're not harder. There's no modifier. It's just do the level 100 dungeons. That's it. That's all it is. It's very easy. I know people who got scared of expert roulette because it said expert, but it's like, difficulty names in this game are weird. Expert is nothing. It doesn't change anything. Expert is nothing. Hard is nothing. That's the funniest part, is that hard does not mean anything. Well, it does mean something, but it doesn't, because it's... You do the suspiciously named expert roulette, which does not have any modifiers, make anything more difficult, or make anything bad at all. It's very easy, okay? Everything about it is easy. We still have 4 inventory slots? What the hell is going on? Is it only if you have the weapon equipped? I don't know what's happening anymore, honestly, chat. I've got no idea. But if you do your expert roulette, you get like 90 or 100 of them. And you can do your expert roulette once per day for the bonus, right? So this is going to do 9, and then this is going to do like whatever, right? This is going to do like 7. I mean, I can just throw the... I'm not doing the math in my head. Just kill him. Just kill him. Yeah, just kill him. He was going to die anyways. Thank God we only rested twice. Sorry your new skin is moldy and has fungus growing on it. The horror. Sorry about that. It's my bad. So, essentially, what I'm trying to get at before the, episode ends or whatever. Let's see. Minus... Oh, we're taking -5! So we gotta rest once, chat. We gotta rest once. And then do we have Innsmouth look? We have Fearful, actually, so that's a rest again, chat. Actually, we probably could have did the fight and then recovered sanity, but I don't know. I think we're good. I think we're okay. Are we fine? Are we fine, chat? Are we fine? Are we real? Are we fine? Are we real? I think we're okay, right? You should die in one turn, probably, right? Yeah, we were doing 27 damage. Yippee! So basically, you just do it once a day, and you get like 90 to 100. So because it's like 40 for the dungeon, and then... Is it 80? I don't know. You get like 40 for the... It doubles the reward, I'm pretty sure. So it's like 40 for the dungeon doing it normally, and then another 40 for doing the expert roulette. And you can only get that bonus reward like once a day, right? So you just do your expert roulette and, like, I don't know, any other roulette that gives you the tomes. And you just maybe do that, like, once every couple of days, and you hit the 450 cap. The reason that 450 cap is in the game isn't to give you FOMO and make you feel like you're missing out on gear. No, no, no. That 450 cap is to stop you from playing the game. Because in Final Fantasy XIV, you can play as many jobs as you want, right? And so they purposefully limit gear so that it's a literal waiting game of like, you have cleared the fight. Now it is this many weeks until you get all of the gear that you need, right? And so what they do is they artificially limit the gear that you can get so that you cannot, because here's the thing, and I would do this, I would 100% do this. I play 2 jobs, I have 2 mains. I have White Mage and I have Pictomancer. Those are the jobs that I play the most out of everything, right? I would 100% farm thousands of these tombstones in one sitting just to get the gear that I need for Savage, right? The augmented Quetzali gear or whatever. I would do that. Or the regular Quetzali gear. You get the augment materials from Savage, but whatever. So basically what I'm trying to say is the game's weekly caps exist to stop you from playing because they don't want you to binge this game. And the reason they don't want you to binge this game is that the developers have said multiple times you can go play something else, right? And so it's crazy, man. Like, there are modes that are like super grindy, like Eureka, Bosja Island Sanctuary, but those are kind of designed to be grindy, right? They have like designed grinds, but here's the thing, right? I just said that there were 3 things that were really grindy, and you might be like, oh, Webweaver, you were misrepresenting the situation earlier when you said the game wasn't predatory. Here's the thing, those modes do have like predatory aspects to them, like Island Sanctuary, you have to check in with it every week to make sure that your mammoths are still running the place. You know, Eureka and Bosja are separate progression zones that are more styled on old MMOs, so you have to do a shit ton of grinding that's really, like, boring. But here's the thing. Those modes are 100% optional and do nothing. Like, here's the thing. The only reason you would do Eureka, the only reason you would do Bosja, the only reason you do Island Sanctuary, the only reason you would do anything outside of the MSQ is if you want to do it. And in some cases, like Savage Raiding, which is my favorite thing to do in the game, they put an arbitrary weekly cap on it because they don't want you to play the game non-stop. So, and you can only clear the fights for loot once a week. And so that means that once people have got their weekly clear, the player base for Savage drops off, because unless you're parsing, there's no reason for you to go in, unless, you know, you want to play for fun, but nobody wants to do that. Everybody thinks my for fun parties are parsing parties, and they get really mad when they mess up their rotation, and I get mad at them for wiping the party arbitrarily. So it's like, for raiding, you can only do it once a week. Only clear it once a week, I should say. And it's like, oh my god, I could rant about this shit for 80 years, and I do have to stop this video soon. But, like, the thing is, the only reason I've done Eureka is for I did Eureka for 2 reasons. I wanted to see the Baldesion Arsenal, and I wanted to get the Demi-Ozma mount. That's it. There's no, like, Eureka does nothing for the story. It doesn't, there's no permanent buff. There's no reward that helps your gameplay. You don't need it to progress the story. There's nothing, you know? Same thing with Bosja. You don't need it to progress the story. You don't need it to do anything. You just do it because you want to. You want the Cerberus mount. You want to do Delibrum Regine Savage or whatever. You do it because you want to. You do Bosja because you want to do the solo duels. You do Bosja because there's something in Bosja that you want. And then once you get that thing, you never have to step foot in it again. And I think that's one of the things that's so weird about Final Fantasy XIV. And here's the thing, Final Fantasy XIV has a battle pass. It's 100% free. They give you like 8 months to do it. They give you like 8 months to do it. And they announce well in advance when the series is ending. And you can even predict when the series is ending, because it ends when the new patch comes out, and it takes like 6 to 8 freaking months. It might not even. It might go on longer. Who knows? They're very like communicative. They're very communicative. I can't speak about these things. And so I'm in a Final Fantasy XIV mood. We had an FC night for the new Alliance raid. And the new Alliance raid is goated, by the way. But here's the thing. The new Alliance raid's really fun. Guess what? Nobody cares. People, the moment the Alliance... Because the Alliance raid doesn't give you anything! It's already irrelevant. 720? Gives you eye level 720? That's a joke! It gives you one piece of eye level 720 gear once a week! Get real! Unfortunately, in MMOs that are you know, I was gonna say they're very time-consuming, but I barely play the game anymore. I just log on to do, like, a couple things, maybe once every other day, right? But in MMOs, people want benefits. They want rewards that are meaningful and do things. And you drop an alliance raid that gives you 720 gear. And it's like, yeah, I'll take that shit for my off jobs, I guess, but all the party finders are asking for 725. And by the way, if you're doing the Minstrel's Ballad for the final boss of Dawntrail, and you set your party for, and it's a fresh prog party, and you set that shit for 725, I can join your party, but it's empty for a reason, idiot. Well, the reason it's empty is that we're on Coral, and you didn't world transfer to Aether, but anyways, I'm still mad about it. Because guess what? I'm the min eye level for Fight 710. I could join you on a healer, melee, DPS, tank, but no, you make it 725. You make it. I saw some people doing 727, dude. Like, yeah, I can join you on my Pictomancer, and that's it. But I'm not joining your party, buddy. Sorry, I'm tilted. I'm so pissed off right now. Sorry, whenever I play Final Fantasy XIV, I have opinions on Final Fantasy XIV, which, considering the previous videos and how I haven't been talking about Final Fantasy XIV that much, you probably, you know, correlates with the fact that I haven't been playing the game a lot. But anyways, wait for it. Me when I'm about to get murdered. Wait for it. All right, have a good one, bye.